What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that we took throughout the week when it came to swing trades, and then also some day trades we took when it comes to SPY and trading futures. So it was a really good week. Price action this week was phenomenal. And when we pull up the 30-minute chart, if you guys aren't familiar with it, this pretty much tells me the trend in the market. So pretty much if we're crossed on the 30-minute here on the call side for Friday, then we're bullish. If we're crossed on the put side for the Friday expiration, then we are bearish. And if neither side is crossed, which means this 10 SMA isn't below or isn't above the 50 on either side of the premium, then we're neutral. So coming into the week, we were neutral. So you can see down here, the 50 SMA is above the 10, so we're neutral here on the call side, and the same thing was on the puts. We were neutral coming into the week. So all we were looking for on Monday was pretty much a cross on either side of the premium. I don't think we took any trades when it came to futures, because the first thing I have here is a PayPal trade, which I'm going to go over. But the first SPY trade, I'm pretty sure occurred on Tuesday, which was right in this area where we ended up actually flipping bullish. So we ended up getting this bullish cross that happened I think Tuesday or Wednesday, and you can see what happened after we got that 30-minute chart to cross. We ended up trending higher, and then we got a little pullback. Dip got bought in the trend, and we trended higher on Thursday, and we got another pullback on Friday, which was a pretty harsh pullback towards the end of the day in the afternoon. So I'm just going to go over some of the trades we took. First thing was PayPal. So I just have a bunch of screenshots of the trades that I did end up taking, which I don't know why this is not dragging over, but I don't know, why is this not working? I have no clue. Okay, so here we go. First one was PayPal. Again, just like that 30-minute chart on SPY, the same thing applies when it comes to individual stocks. So on PayPal, we ended up getting this cross here on the 70 calls for October 3rd, which was this Friday's expiration. We ended up taking this, I believe, on Monday or Tuesday, and yeah, Monday right here. So 10 SMA went up to 50, and I bought the dip at the 50 because we know once we get this cross, we can buy the dip in the trend at that 50. That's what that 50 SMA is used for. It's pretty much your line in the sand for the trend on the stock, and we bought the dip there at, I think I got filled at like 0.64, but this is what the chart looked like on that dip to the 50, and then bang, we got a nice bounce from here. It went a little bit higher. It might have went up to like 105 to 110, and I was up around 50-60% on that. Took a trim, and then the following day I held it in the open, and it got stopped at break even on the other half of my position after open. It just came right back down, broke below the 50, and ended up just dumping a bit. So yeah, after I hit my first TP, I go break even, which ended up playing out nicely there. But yeah, it was the first trade we ended up taking. This was a really, really good trade. Probably my best trade of the week, SMCI. So, again, 30-minute cross right here on SMCI. Same concept as PayPal. Same concept as the 30-minute cross on SPY. 10 SMA goes above the 50. You don't enter right away here because that 50 SMA is still sloped down. That's one of the criteria when taking a cross. The 50 SMA cannot be pointed down. It has to be flat or curling up, and you can see right here it's curling up, and I ended up entering right on the screenshot here, and we got a very, very big move out of it. That's actually not the picture. I actually have it on Thinkorswim here of the move we got, but yeah, here's the move we got. I mean, look at this move. I didn't hold it. I didn't swing it into the next day, I don't think, but that was just such a clean move. I ended up holding this until the end of the day on Wednesday. So right here, I think, what day was it? So 9:30 was where? 9:30 was on this candle. So yeah, I ended up selling it on this candle right here in a close. 200%, really good move on SMCI. Took trims at like 50 to 70%. Took another trim at 100, then had my final runner for the rest of the day and sold it at 200% on that last move. But again, it's pretty simple. We're just playing the cross. 10 SMA goes above the 50. And look at the trend we had on it. This is why when we get these 30-minute crosses, this is what I mean when we have trend on the stock or whatever we're watching when we get the 30-minute cross. You can see what happened after we got the cross. We just trended up higher. Obviously, it's not going to work every single time exactly like this. Another kind of confluence with this trade was that, my confidence was through the roof on this. And the reason behind that was pretty simple. So this is where I use the higher time frames to kind of, gauge the confidence on the trade, because when we have every single time frame kind of in sync with one another and every single time frame is crossing at the same time, that's where we could get those really, really explosive moves. And that's where my confidence on a trade goes up, when we have the higher time frames in line with that 30-minute cross. So you can see down in here, the like right at when we took the trade, the 1 hour it was just crossing, the 2 hour just crossing down in here all at the same time, and then I think the 4 hour chart was crossing as well at the same exact time. So when we have all these time frames in sync with one another and just getting the cross, that's what really sets up an explosive move for a stock. And those are the A plus setups. Whenever someone asks me what is an A plus setup when it comes to the system and how I trade these charts, it's this: when every single time frame is crossing on a stock on every time frame, that's the A plus setup. It's not going to happen for every single chart you pull up, but eventually every once in a while you'll see a setup like this where the 1 hour is in line with the 30-minute, and so is the 2 hour, 4 hour, and maybe even the daily, which I don't think there was a 50 SMA on the daily, which again, that's the other thing. There's not going to be a 50 SMA on every single time frame every single time. I don't know kind of what determines that, but sometimes there's just not going to be a 50 SMA on that time frame, and it really doesn't mean anything when that's the case. I mean, it's just not a time frame that I'll be really paying attention to if there's not a 50 SMA, but that's the A plus setup when it comes to the system. Every single time frame crossing at the same time pretty much. So yeah, SMCI was a really good trade, probably the best trade of the week that we took. And then Amazon was another trade. I actually stopped break even on this. I held this for a couple days. I was up like 40% at one point. Honestly, I probably should have taken some off the table, but I was looking for that 50% mark. That's kind of like what I look for in every single trade. And yeah, this was a break-even trade, and I'll go over why we ended up taking this. So actually, I do have a screenshot of something for this, I believe. Where's Amazon at? I don't know what screenshot this is in here, but I know there was something for Amazon where the 4 hour chart was crossing negative on it. Might be at the end here. Yeah, so this was the original thesis behind Amazon. So if we pull up the puts here for the weeklies, you could see on the 215 puts here, we're on the 4 hour time frame, and there's a reason I was on this time frame, is that because we are crossing negative here on the 4 hours. So the higher the time frame, the more significant it is. That's kind of goes with anything, right? So the higher time frame, more significant the chart or the move will be. And this chart right here was going negative on the 4 hours. So instead of a positive cross, this was playing a negative cross. And since this was going negative on the 4 hour time frame, such a big time frame, that with this happening, I was very bullish on Amazon, and we did get, like I said, we got a solid move. We got 40%. Actually, no, I was actually up 50%. My bad. Off of open on Friday, but I wasn't on the chart at the time right at open. I wasn't able to pull up my position, but that's where you would have trimmed if you were on the chart. So I mean, technically the trade actually did go to our 50% mark. I completely forgot about that because I closed the position at break even, but yeah, after I got on the charts on Friday, I saw that it hit 50%, and that would have been my TP area for half off, then go break even, and it ended up coming back down to break even. But this was the reason: 4 hour chart going negative on puts, so we expect these puts to continue to trend down on the put side, which in turn would pump Amazon. So that was kind of the thesis behind it. And then also there was a little bit of drawdown on this. I was probably down like 30% maybe at one point, but as you can see here, we end up rejecting. Actually, this is the wrong chart, but before that, let me check this real quick. This is another reason: 4 hour chart going negative on the weeklies, and then on the October contracts here. If you're confused on why I'm pulling up the Octobers, I talked about this in the option video of the best strat to use for option trading, so make sure you guys watch that. But again, these are the monthly contracts, the October 17th ones. So again, they hit massive resistance here on the daily time frame. I only use the daily for the monthly contracts. It gives me a bigger picture outlook, and you can see we hit that major resistance here on the 50 SMA on the daily. So that was another kind of part of the trade. But the 4 hour chart was kind of my main priority when it came to taking the trade, and what kind of caught my eye. And yeah, we ended up coming back into the let me pull up the weeklies here. The weeklies were, yeah, so this is why I ended up cutting it. So right, this was on close at Thursday. This is where we were up 50% here off of open, and it looked really good, but I'm pretty sure the 1 hour 50 ended up rejecting here. Yeah, it did. So we did hit that resistance point, which I mean, still I still thought we were going to go higher on this. The chart looked really good, and as this chart was going negative, that's where I ended up cutting it at break even, just because I knew that, okay, the bulls aren't taking the trend right now, so this chart's probably going to cross negative and drop us lower. So that's why I ended up cutting it at break even. But if you held it into the open, you would have been paid here at 9:30. it went over 50% right there. And, unfortunately, I wasn't able to take a trim off, which is unfortunate, but that is what we took when it came to Amazon. And then we have some other setups I want to go over. I think Intel is on here. Yeah, so Intel, this was a break-even trade for me. It was pretty simple. So we, again, 30-minute chart is crossed here. 50 SMA is your dip buy in the trend. We bought the dip in the trend. We got a nice bounce. These contracts ended up coming up to around, I think, a 0.95 maybe. And again, we just didn't hit the 50% mark, I don't think, on it. So I didn't get a trim off. And it came back down to break even, and I ended up stopping out at even. So, yeah, and then from there it actually broke below the 50, which, I think our fill was actually above the 50 SMA. So I got filled like right around 0.61. So this ended up coming up, and by the time the SMA kept showing up and we closed below the 50, I was actually in profit. So I think I closed it for like 5% in profit, which, can't really complain. Technically, I mean, not a winner, but, I'm glad we didn't lose anything on the trade. But that was the reason we took Intel for a day trade on, I forget what day it was. What is this, Monday? Yeah, we ended up taking this on Monday. So I like the setup. Not everyone's going to play out. And, even though it didn't play out, we still, came out with a little bit of green. And then this was a trade we took when it came to SPY. So this is a little bit different than how I trade the individual stocks. So when I'm on the 5-minute here, this is for day trades. So this is a smaller time frame. This is only for SPY. I only trade the 5-minute when it comes to these crosses intraday on the 0DT charts. So the 664 calls are 0DTE, and this is what gives me my entries intraday on SPY. So with this cross happening on the 5-minute, this is telling me the bulls are taking the trend intraday, and we're going to see a move higher. 10 SMA is crossing the 50 here, and I'm bullish on SPY. And there's a move we got out of it. I end up selling most of this on this leg right here above $1 on the contracts. I think we're up 50-60%. I got to fill around like 0.60s. So yeah, I ended up selling actually almost 100%. So yeah, we ended up selling a good chunk. Actually, yeah, I sold all of them up around this like $1 area on the contracts, I believe. So yeah, that was a really good trade. It's simple. We just, again, 10 SMA cross the 50, we go long, and that was that. So this is another, I didn't take Tesla, but I'm just showing you an example. It's kind of hard to see, but I told Discord that I already have some positions open, but I do like Tesla for a trade if I wasn't in anything. And I don't even think I had the end result on here, which I don't know why, but it actually ended up pumping, which I will pull up the chart because I know I have it in here somewhere. So this is what Tesla looked like after the fact. So I'm not sure where we were here, but yeah, these contracts were sitting at 875, and you don't have to trade these exact ones. So you probably would have been taking further out the money ones, which even would have moved more. So you probably would have been up well over 100% since these went like 100% on the 450 calls. So you probably would have caught like 120, 150% maybe on those contracts. So again, just simple 10 SMA crossing the 50 on Tesla. The bulls are taking the trend since it's on the call side, and you got the move out of it. So Tesla was a solid one to take during the week. And then another day trade when it comes to SPY was right here. So it's the same thing that's happening. 10 SMA was going above the 50 on the call side, and we got a very solid move on it. And look at the risk to reward. I told Discord, super low risk trade because we're sitting right around that 50 SMA, which is the line in the sand for the trade. So if we close below the 50, we stop out, and I entered right near that 50 SMA. So risk to reward on this trade is through the roof, and look at the move we got. I know my SPY calls were up like over 100%, 120, 150%, maybe even 170%. I forget exactly the percent amount, but that was a really good trade. And also, this is the end result of that cross. That cross went crazy. You can see as the cross was the absolute bottom right here, our entry point, and look at the move. You could have bought this 50 dip down in here, or you could have bought when we got back above the 10, and we end up trading higher. Usually when we get that cross, the 10 SMA kind of trails, and when we break that 10, a lot of times we come back down in the 50 area and then bounce, reclaim the 10 SMA, and then that's where you could enter again for the continuation move. But like I said, the bulls took the trend this week, and this is where it actually ended up happening. So the same day as that 0DT cross, we got the 30-minute cross. So that's why the move was so drastic, is because the bulls were initially getting the trend on SPY. So you can see 10 SMA went up with the 50, 50's curling up. SPY bulls are taking the trend on a larger time frame, and that's why we ended up trending up for more than one day. And market ended up ripping higher. So I think this was Thursday now that we ended up taking a pretty solid trade here. It took a little bit of time to play out because we entered this at like 12, and I think we ended up closing it around like 2:30. So this is, again, it's another type of cross. It's negative cross because 10 estimates crossing below the 50 here on the put side. So like I said, we have the bullish trend on the 30-minute on the call side. So this is not a cross you want to take because it's on the puts. We know the bigger time frame trend is bullish. So I'm not taking a 30-minute cross on the puts when we know larger outlook, we're bullish. So what you want to do is wait for the put side to go negative, and this is what the 30-minute looked like at the time. So we're sitting at major support and puts are crossed. So I'm not taking that put cross. It doesn't make any sense to take it. So what do I do? Wait for the negative cross right here. I took an entry point right here, 12.21. Took a little bit of time. It kind of chopped up and down, and it finally went negative. And you can see, got a nice bounce out of it. Caught up about 50 to 60 points on NQ, and my SPY calls ended up running, I think 50 to 70%. So that was another really good move that we caught. And it's pretty simple. We're just looking at 2 estimates on an options chart. We're watching 0DT. We're watching Friday expiration. Pretty simple. And then what else we got? That's Amazon. So that's pretty much all we did throughout the week. I think I caught most of the trades. And then, like I said, I already went over this, I think, in last video. But this was just a regular stock play. And unfortunately, I didn't have any runners going into Friday. But like I mentioned on USAR, insane breakout. I mean, look at this breakout we got. I am entering on Thursday, right around these all-time high breakout, and I mean I ended up selling it on Thursday in the afternoon for like 70%. Next day, stock ends up running 24%, which is crazy. But that's what that all-time high breakout does for you. I've been dabbling with some individual stocks for these types of breakout trades. I just feel like they're very easy to spot. All you're doing is looking for volume kind of consolidation around all-time highs, or not even all-time highs, just for a breakout for the next leg up. And stock moves up sideways / pulls back on lower volume, wait for the breakout. It's pretty simple in my opinion, and risk reward on these trades are through the roof. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. If you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. If you guys want to learn, join Discord down below. That's where all my trades are shared. All knowledge on how I trade is in there as well. So that's all I got. I'm out. Peace.